Well, are we there? Welcome to MindShifters Radio. My name is Tim Hayes, and apparently there's been a technical difficulty for the past few minutes. So I'm here for the first hour, and we are on Thursday, March 4th, 2021. And I'll repeat the intro that I just gave, that we are available to teach and support people in using the tools that are located absolutely for free at whyagain.org. When you go to that website and click on the link, the red and white bullseye, it'll take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Ryce's book titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? You can also download a whole host of audio files of shows where people have been stepped through that worksheet process. That Chapter 24 of that book is a narrative description of the primary tool in this work. That tool is the Reality Management Worksheet process, and that tool has been, as I apply that tool in my life over the past 16 years, I've dramatically improved my life quality. So we're encouraging people to go there, download that tool, put it into use in your life, and then give us a call if you have comments or questions. 563-999-3581. I was already into reading the lesson for today. We've agreed to do the Course in Miracles lessons, and those lessons, one for each day of the year. So we are on the 63rd day of the year. The 63rd lesson reads, "The light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness." The commentary reads, "How holy are you who have the power to bring peace to every mind? How blessed are you who can learn to recognize the means for letting this be done through you." Now here's where I'm breaking into the lesson and the commentary to talk about where this is where my ego needs to wake up and pay attention. Because most of us, when we say, I want to help somebody, I want to heal somebody, I want to fix somebody, that's our ego talking. And my ego needs to wake up and understand that my ego doesn't do any of this, that I, the person, Tim Hayes, however tall I am, however much or little hair is on my head, wherever my office is in Illinois and the groups I lead, all of that stuff, none of it has ever helped anybody. And yet, if my ego can see its true nature and its position in this, can see the means for letting this be done through me, then the power to bring peace to every mind might flow through me, but only with the realization that I am not the source of that power, I didn't initiate it, and I don't have any intellectual capacity to comprehend it. I can become as a conduit for that energy without ownership, without the ego possessiveness, without judgment. So, I'll go back to the commentary. How holy are you who have the power to bring peace to every mind? How blessed are you who can learn to recognize that the means for letting this be done through you is at your disposal. What purpose could you have that would bring greater happiness? You are indeed the light of the world with such a function. The Son of God looks to you for his redemption. It is yours to give, for it belongs to you. Accept no trivial purpose or meaningless desire in place of this purpose, or you will forget your function and you will leave the Son of the Creator in hell. This is no idle request that is being asked of you. You are being asked to accept salvation that it may be yours to give. You know, in the worksheet that Dr. Michael Ryce has, one of the lines near the bottom says, a principle of the universe is that by giving, I first get the original. Well, another way to say that is, I cannot give to somebody that which I do not possess. So if I am hopeful to help bring salvation to someone else, this part of the commentary of the lesson is telling me I must accept that salvation for myself first. The commentary goes on to say, recognizing the importance of this function, we will be happy to remember it very often today. We will begin the day by acknowledging it and close the day with the thought of it in our awareness. And throughout the day, we will repeat this as often as we can. Here it is. The light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. I am the means the Creator has appointed for the salvation of the world. If you close your eyes, you will probably find it easier to let the related thoughts come to you in the minute or two that you should devote to considering this. Do not, however, wait for such an opportunity. No chance should be lost for reinforcing today's idea. Remember that the creations, that which arises from the creation, looks to you for its salvation. And who but your true self must be the offspring of creation? So we're also taking a look at Pam Grout's book, The Course in Miracles Experiment. And her 63rd chapter is titled, My New Job Title, Deployer of Miracles. She quotes the Course in Miracles where it says, What we have chosen to see often costs us our true vision. Pam writes, so it always begins at a cocktail party or a gathering of strangers. The question is, what do you do? Most of us have a suitable answer we can pull out of our pocketbooks. Usually it's a job. I'm an accountant or a teacher or maybe a zookeeper. I, too, have that pat answer at the ready. It's simple enough to tell people what I do during a few hours of every day. I write. But every now and then, when I'm feeling mischievous or wanting to start an unusual conversation, I'll say something like, I am a miracle deployer. Deploy, according to the dictionary, is to position into readiness, to bring into action, to distribute strategically. And that's what happens when we talk about anything, be it miracles or woe. Woe is me. We deploy it into action. Lesson 63, the light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness, basically says that when I give up my old story, and that's what forgiveness is, giving up what's false, I'm left with nothing but peace and joy. I'm like a helium balloon destined to rise once I trim back the ego's bullocks that keep it down. Rather, I affirm as often as I can today that my only role is to be happy, to spread molecules of merriment, and to let peace radiate out from me to every mind. 5 minutes, twice a day, apply as needed. So, that's our offering for today from the formatted part of our show. I'm hoping that I did a good enough intro. All these tools are available absolutely free at whyagiain.org. And if you click on the red and white bullseye on that page, it will take you to a page where you can get free access to the Reality Management Worksheet, Michael Ryce's Chapter 24 of his book, which describes that process, a whole host of audio files of shows like this one where people have been stepped through that process. You can go to your app store and type in the 3 words Heartland Aramaic Forgiveness, see the glowing heart icon, get a completely free and private app that has that tool in it. You can print off the worksheet itself, etc., etc. I am getting my bearings again after doing the intro and then recognizing that no one was able to hear me. So our call-in number is 563-999-3581. It's 43 minutes of time left to share questions, conversations, do a worksheet with somebody, maybe do a worksheet myself. What's your pleasure? What would be of service to you today? I just, right before getting onto the show today, I was fielding a question from someone who just stumbled across the work and didn't know about any of the websites or the worksheet or the support groups. And so there's this idea in this work that I cannot give away that which I don't possess, so that I must accept the salvation for myself, and then I can be a conduit for the salvation that is available through the Creator to be shared with, to be given to everyone and everything around me. And so as I was talking to this woman about the idea that these tools are available through the website absolutely free and the support groups are available free, it dawned on me to say, if you have an interest in helping people, one of the things you could do is just tell more people about the host of free resources that are available at whyagain.org and mindshiftersacademy.org. This woman was mentioning that she had heard the interview we did with Dodie Corcoran and some of the other interviews that are available absolutely free, people like Guy Finley and Pierre Pradervand, and I think I did the interview with Kate Duffy for the Journey's Dream group, but there are just all kinds of good resources available absolutely free. And one of the best aspects of that for me is that people don't even have to be put on a mailing list to get access. They're able to come in anonymously. I'm finding out more and more in little trickles of people that listen to this radio show or podcast without showing up on the switchboard and without showing up in the chat room. So, it's one of the benefits to this work that you don't have to even let yourself be known. You don't have to give any identifying information, and you can still get completely free and open access to these tools. So, how can we support you today? What's a comment or a question, or what would serve you most for the next 38 minutes? as we share this time together. I am enjoying the 1,000 Names for Joy that was recommended yesterday. I intend to get through the better part of that book by the time the weekend's over. And if anybody has access to people like Pema Chodron or Byron Katie, or you have a relative that knows them, please feel free to shoot me an email with an introduction, something that might grease the skid so that we might interview Pema Chodron or Byron Katie. And I have tried to turn on the microphone for area code 520. Are you there? Is the technology working?
Here. Hello.
Welcome. Who do we have?
This is Audrey.
Welcome, Audrey. What's on your mind today?
Question. Oftentimes I have what it's a Claire.
Audrey, let me interrupt and ask you to speak up and speak more directly into the phone so I can hear you, please.
It might be my phone. Okay. It's oftentimes. Can you hear me?
I'm working on it. Keep going.
Oftentimes, I have the clairvoyant, knowing that something is going to happen before it happens. Okay, I think it's the conscious, logical mind is trying to figure out it. How is it if everything is now and time is an illusion, according to the Course of Miracles, as I perceive it to be? How is it that the message comes through that something's going to happen before it happens?
The question that you asked, the way you asked it, in my mind has the perfect answer right in it, because everything is always happening. There is only the now. So there isn't something happening before it happens. It's just an awareness expanding. And much of the time we're asleep and we are not aware, but I would say probably at those times where you say you're having that clairvoyance, clairaudience, what's happening is that you're awake in that moment.
I have to digest that. I'll set up in a sense. I walked into this office. I saw a woman I never saw before, and I asked her, "Did someone give you a bouquet of flowers?" And she says, "No one ever gave me a bouquet of flowers. I never get flowers." I saw her the next week, and she brought me a flower. And she said, "I went home, and my neighbor bought me a bouquet." And so I picked it up before it happened, but if everything is now, it's just all awareness. I have to chew on it about the now, and I sort of don't understand it, because when I perceive the now, yeah.
You're saying I don't understand it, and that's exactly right. My conscious logical mind, the part of my mind that figures out how to drive to work, isn't capable of comprehending concepts like there is only the now. Because it's words, and every meaning that I give a word comes from what I've learned in the past, and so I have been conditioned to experience my life from a time-bound perspective and through the workings of my conscious logical mind, so I can't comprehend that which is timeless or without time, outside of time. What my mind wants to do with a concept like eternity is take the idea of time and make it an endless loop of time. But the concept of eternity, the eternal now, this holy instant, is the opposite of time. It is the ever-present. It is something that goes beyond anything I have words for. So it's not surprising that I can't comprehend it or make sense of it with that part of my mind.
Thank you very much for the clarification. Thank you. Blessings.
All right. You're very welcome. Our caller number is 563-999-3581. And we've got 32 minutes left. How can we support you? What's on your mind? I've had such a powerful week, loaded with sessions and questions and people struggling with the coronavirus issues and the restrictions and the kids at home and the financial pressures and as I talk to people about this, I keep coming back to the basics. And I've had a number of people in my office in the past 3 days. We've only had 3 full days so far this week, although it seems like more. They are floored, they are flummoxed, they are frustrated, and they attribute that to the fact that I just keep coming back to the basics. And I say, if I have a negative emotional state, it means that there's an error in my thought process. An example of that happened for me on Monday. I was in a video call and I heard someone say something, and my immediate response to what they said was righteous indignation, upset, anger, rage, whatever you want to call it. And I've mentioned this before on the show this week, that what I know because of my work is that if I take an action, if I speak from that space of upset or righteous indignation, I'm going to be adding a negative energy to my life situation in that moment. And what I know to be true is that cannot produce a beneficial response. There's nothing good that can come from me acting from my negative emotional state. So what I did at the time was stay quiet. I bit my tongue. And I did my best to interact with the rest of the participants in the video call and to talk about the content that was relevant in that video call without mentioning my triggered state, realizing that I just tapped into an upset, an anger, a frustration related to feeling, thoughts that I was being dismissed or disregarded or disrespected, and that my obligation for my own healing is for me to go back and do some kind of processing about that. So yesterday morning I did some energetic work. I did a worksheet before, and I've made the commitment to do some more worksheets because it keeps coming to my mind, that interaction keeps coming up with a negative emotional loading. So I will step through a worksheet here, and I'm starting the worksheet with the recognition that my essential nature, my human life, my very being is this energy of love. The goal of this internal process of forgiveness, this wake-up sheet, worksheet process, is to help me remove fear and hostility from my conscious awareness and allow me to have the direct experience of my true nature as this energy of creation, or love, if you want to call it that, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year long. And my upset level has been hovering at about a 7 every time I think about this. And I would say I'm going to use the word anger as my emotional experience. So I, Tim, who am love, have been experiencing anger. And it's my first worksheet of the day, so I'm numbering it number 1. I do that in case I do 3 or 4 worksheets on this, and it's easy for me to remember which one was first, second, third, etc. So the worksheet reminds me that I want to use a separate worksheet for each emotion, and that fear and hostility are from internal corrupt data, and they indicate my mind's use of sustained incoherence. Now, sustained incoherence simply means I'm doing something with a thought process that's creating a problem, and then I believe I'm going to use a thought process to solve that problem, and it just doesn't work. I keep doing the same thing over and over. It's like being on the hamster wheel of the conscious logical mind. My denial, and denial means I think someone or something outside of me is causing my upset. My denial causes my carbon-based memory, which is just the brain in my head, which works like a hard drive, to record and then play back whatever is pumped into it. It uses that to displace my experience of myself as my essence, which is love, and it tells me the lie that my emotions are caused by my trigger and this person on the webinar, and this person said somebody else wasn't there because they were busy. So that was the interaction. I was on the webinar. I'm donating my time to this group. The other person didn't show up. A person who plays a significant role in this didn't show up. And the other person on the webinar who was there said, oh, they didn't show up because they are so busy. And as soon as that happened, I noticed myself flooding with anger, righteous indignation, irritation, frustration. So I want to remind myself that if I'm in pain, my thinking is in error, and I want to take a breath. And then 1D tells me that the truth is that only my thoughts cause my emotional upset. And the thought I'm using to create the emotion of anger here is, they don't appreciate me. They don't appreciate all I've done. So there's my thought. They don't appreciate all I have done. And the punishment thought was, I literally wanted to just reach through the video screen and slap the person or shake them. And I'm not aware of a punishment thought for myself unless you count being stuck in this anger as a punishment thought. So I'm going to choose to love capital T truth, what actually is. I'm going to willingly face and process out all of the disease-producing energies for and from all of my relations and generations. And I'm going to be willing to go through the physical, mental, and emotional symptoms of healing. And I'm going to release and surrender myself, my emotions of anger, this person on the video, my story about what they said and did, my thought that it means they don't appreciate all I have done, and my punishment thought of wanting to slap them. And I'm going to read the side of the worksheet as a place where it says, I cancel my need to be right, and I cancel my need to make up another story out of these brain cells to hallucinate the proof that my fear and hostility-based story, that my reality is true. So I cancel my need to do that. And then in step 3, it asks me to create a goal. It says, my desire, the constructive result, the exact goal that drives this pained perception is I want that person on this video call to I'll just say appreciate all I have done and show it. I want them to show their appreciation directly, overtly. Step 4 says, I'm going to choose love, which is my essence. And when I do that, it resonates the love, the essence of creation in everyone involved. So I'm just going to take a moment here and breathe and think about one of the most loving memories in my life, one of the safest, happiest, joyful, peaceful, strong memories until I change the energy in my heart space from that anger, for that energy of anger, to this energy of love, peace, joy, happiness, contentment. And I breathe into that. It's fairly easy for me to do. There are a lot of good things in my life right now. I shift that energy. And as soon as I feel that shift in my heart space, I move on to number 5. Number 5 says, when I'm upset, my perception is built out of corrupt data. It's driven by my goal in number 3, that these people appreciate all I have done and show it. But this is a limiting picture constructed from a max of 9 bits of data when there's 10,000 brain cells firing. So by canceling my goal, that part of my mind that just keeps doing the same thing over and over again, it collapses, and it gives me direct contact with the denied and dissociated parts of my mind, my brain, because that part projects and blames others for what it is holding in its content. So while holding love conscious, active, and present, I now choose to willingly cancel my goal for that person on the call to appreciate what I have done, all I have done, and show it. And then I just want to breathe and soften. And in this case, I usually write in the words here, I invite Ruka. Ruka is the ancient Aramaic word for an elemental force. What's an elemental force? An elemental force is the wind. Elemental force is gravity. An elemental force is your heartbeat or your breath. But there's an elemental force specific to humans that is our conscious, that is our gift. Each of us has access to it. It's implanted in us at our inception, and it's there to break off the effects of our errors in thought and guide us to truth and happiness if we simply ask it to. So I'm going to ask Ruka. It's the word that the ancient Aramaics translated as Holy Spirit, or into something that later it was translated into English as the Holy Spirit. But I'm going to ask Ruka to incline me toward healing, to restore me to the awareness of my newborn essence as love, to heal my denial, and heal my capacity to generate the emotion of anger, and to help me open a direct conscious relationship with and to gently remove the parts of my mind that are denied and dissociated and being projected onto somebody else. So then I just breathe and I soften and I silently repeat inside my mind, I cancel my need to be right, I cancel my need for anyone or anything to change, including myself. I specifically cancel my goal in this worksheet. I put my conscious logical mind on the shelf for now, and I ask to be shown the hidden part of my own mind that's actually creating this upset. And then I breathe and I soften and I invite the images. I invite the awareness. I invite the physical sensations, and I trust that anything that comes into my mind is part of what I need to see to begin to heal here and move forward. So I'm breathing into that and allowing, canceling my need for these people, to appreciate all I've done for them and show it, and ask to be shown what part of my mind holds a conclusion that I don't deserve to be happy here, that I have pain that I need to distract from. What part of my mind is holding the pain that this anger is distracting me from? And I could go on because things are starting to flow, but I got a couple images. So I breathe and soften. And I write and scan my body after a breath, and I realize that I'm feeling sad. So I have sadness. And I write that word in the worksheet, part 6A. And in 6B, it asks what I saw. What I saw. I saw an image of myself at 9 years old. And I saw an interaction at school. I saw people I would consider my friends teasing and laughing at someone who was crying. And I saw myself fighting back my tears so that I wouldn't get teased or attacked, because I've always been one of those people where if someone else is crying, my eyes water, or worse, I actually start crying. So I'm just making a quick note here about that. If I have a lot of detail, I want to flip my worksheet over and make details about the fear and the sadness, and those can serve as good worksheet targets for the future. And then 6C says, I ask to be shown a time when I have not fulfilled appreciating people and showing them. Appreciating all that people have done for me and showing them. So I'm throwing that open. I'm asking to be made aware of times in the past and times in the future where I may be remiss and I may not appreciate all that people have done and show that to them. In the little box that says, draw your feelings, I now commit to love and to living a human life. So to do that, I'm going to do a mass canceling of all the times I've ever wanted somebody to appreciate all that I've done for them and show it. And I breathe into that, and I see a couple instances. I see a couple the two big ones that flash on are my mother and father, but there are some others. So I'm adding some initials here that as I cancel the times that I've wanted my mother and father to appreciate all that I've done for them and show it. Number 7 in this worksheet, the last step says, the principle of the universe is that by giving, I first get the original. So I'm going to choose gratitude for this opportunity to heal. I'm actually going to choose to shift my focus from anger to gratitude. I'm grateful to the person on that website, on that web call, that made this statement that so-and-so is not here because they're busy. They're just very busy. And I'm going to look at this as an opportunity to heal, because as soon as they said that, the interpretation I threw on that resonated anger, righteous indignation, and upset. And I'm going to choose perfect love. Perfect love in this work is choosing the filter over my intentions to be set to Rachma, and choosing the filter over my perception to be set to Kuba. I'm going to choose to intend only loving thoughts and intentions. I'm going to choose to perceive only the loving nature of all creation as it unfolds. And for this person on that web video call, I'm going to choose a loving goal, and my loving goal is going to be 2 worksheets on the sadness and a worksheet on the fear, to continue to dismantle the negative energies in me. So that the next time I'm interacting with that person, I have the ability to choose humility. And humility from the ancient Aramaic means the ability to look for and see the highest and best in another, and then actively choose to cooperate only with their highest and best. They may not be displaying it. They may not be acting from their highest and best. And yet I can still choose to see it and choose to actively cooperate only with that. And I'd say my upset level's down to about a 3, so I'll mark that as a successful worksheet, and I will turn on the microphone for area code 484. Is this Ellen?
Yes, it is, Dr. Tim. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm fine. A couple things that were mentioned today regarding time, and also, the thinking mind. The phrase that keeps coming into my mind is, take ye no thought. And I believe that's from the Bible somewhere. I don't know, because I've never really read the Bible. And I think it probably goes beyond that, maybe take ye no thought for the morrow or something like that. But I'm not getting that whole phrase. I'm just getting take ye no thought, take ye no thought. And then this morning I am rereading William DeWater's Science of Ascension. And I read, let's see, no, I had the page. She says, when one places himself under the action of his thought and its consequences, he hinders his advancement. But when one places himself above his thoughts, spontaneously he rises to greater heights. And when I read that, of course, it just dovetailed with what, this phrase that's been coming into my mind. And also with another teacher that I've recently become more involved with again, Leonard Jacobson, who I know I mentioned him to you before, and his teaching is all about establishing ourselves in the present moment. And so this also ties in with the previous caller, talking about the now and versus time. And so, it's become so apparent to me that this is yet another tool that we can use. And it seems to me like I've heard a lot of people talk about maybe doing resistance to the worksheets, and maybe some of, whatever tool seems most available, I would say, would be the one to use. And this is just another tool of becoming, you can just pick out anything in the room that you're in or outside, if you happen to be outside, and decide to become fully present with it. And because that takes you out of the world of time, and it takes you out of the thinking mind. And this is what I think Lillian is talking about. When you can do that and become fully present in the eternal now, you spontaneously rise above thought, and it seems to me like it can be, an instantaneous way. Like, it's almost like I think of it as like that holy instant way of coming into the truth. And so I just wanted to mention that because that's what's been my experience lately with this, and it relates to that part of the worksheet that says, it's only our thoughts that can create our emotional upset. So if we can rise above our thoughts, then we're not going to be, having the consequences of those thoughts.
Well, and I would say that the rising above it basically would be like what Guy Finley talks about, when you can sit back and observe your thoughts. It's not denying them. It's not pouring emotional energy into it. It's just watching your thoughts. And if you can step back and watch the movement of your thoughts, he says, then you don't need to be moved by your thoughts. And when you've reached that position where you can be in the observer mode of your own self and your own thoughts, you've really got something. You've got a level of liberty and options for responding that just don't exist when you think you are your thoughts, or you've somehow been conditioned to believe that your thoughts need to be acted upon.
Or that they're your own, that they belong to you.
Yeah. Yep.
And but I love the idea of just becoming present with something, and it's the same type of thing. I mean, it can be present with a thought that's arising, but I like to choose an object. Especially, I have cats, so I like to choose one of my cats, and just become as present as I possibly can with the cat, and it automatically takes you out of your thinking mind. And but it's a process, because the thinking mind is going to want to jump right back in again, and so you have to be willing to notice that and again become present.
And there are several exercises. One of them is in the Way of Mastery, where it says, spend time, 10 or 15 minutes, sitting wherever you are, and find something that your eyes land on, and to just question, where did this come from? How did this get here? And realize, I don't know who had the first idea for a pen. I don't know where the plastic came from that's forming the pen that I have here. I don't know what this ink is made of. I don't know when the first idea was created for writing. And so I'm sitting with the observation about how little I know. And that's another way to short-circuit that conscious logical mind that wants to figure everything out, to help put in a more accurate perspective that says, you know what? We really don't know much of anything.
Yeah, you just take a look at your own body that you've been with your entire life and realize how little you know about your own body.
We don't know how it digests the food that it digests when we eat it. We don't know how it moves across the room when we decide to get up and go to the door from our chair. We don't know how any of that happens. It just happens.
Right.
And so that's why we have, the thing you're talking about, putting that conscious logical mind aside, being awake, alert, questioning in the present moment. That's why we have exercises like this to help gain the perspective of the truth of how little the conscious logical mind actually knows and what little utility in the ultimate sense it has. You know, Einstein said we were given a precious gift and a faithful servant. The precious gift is the intuitive mind. The faithful servant is the conscious logical mind. The problem is we live in a culture where the gift has been forgotten and the faithful servant has been elevated to the level of master. So we pour so much mental, emotional energy into glorifying the conscious logical mind, and it is nothing compared to the intuitive mind or Ruka Dukucha or the elemental force specific for us humans that's available to break off the effects of our errors in thought and guide us to truth and happiness, or whatever you want to call it, your guardian angel, the great comforter. Our conscious logical mind is nothing compared to those other resources. I don't know what else to call them.
I agree.
So I'm going to just flip on Susan real quick. She put a hand up here, and I just saw that her hand's up. We've got a couple of minutes left. Susan, what's on your mind?
Hi. Well, first, thank you so much for going through that worksheet with yourself as the guinea pig. You know, in our Zoom group, I try to be that kind of guide. You talked your own way through it, and where you paused and did the forgiveness pattern, you stayed with that. It was just good. And thanks for putting yourself on the table there. It was really good. And the other thing is, you read something from the Way of Mastery, and I've been through the Way of Mastery, but I haven't looked for it. It was a definition of forgiveness, meaning removing your perceptions from whoever you're making up stories with. And I thought that was the most liberating thing to hear right then. I guess I developed the brain cells to really hear that. But can you do that quote again?
Yeah, that's from the 3rd chapter. And in my book, it's highlighted because it's essentially the definition for forgiveness. If you have the actual blue book, it's on page 25.
Okay.
It's in the second full page of lesson 3, and it simply says, to forgive means to choose to release another from the perceptions you have been projecting upon them.
Yeah.
That's all that forgiveness is. Forgiveness is dismantling the false projections that we place on the world.
And they're all false, probably.
Well, they're all false every time they lead to a judgment or a negative emotional state.
Okay, yeah. I thought Michael was saying
we,
even the positive ones are projections that we can't know, but the positive ones are like gentle perceptions. That's what he was calling it. But it doesn't matter.
But that also applies to ourselves, right? Because that's what I was doing this morning. I was noticing all of the ways in which I judge my perception, you know, this self-created image of myself and all of her preferences and thoughts and habits and just recognizing, wow, you know, and by forgiving, I mean just canceling that none of those things belong to me. They don't define me in any way whatsoever. And it's the same way with others.
Well, I thank you both. We are out of time. We are at the actually into our second hour, so thank you both for calling and raising questions and making comments. And I will remind us all that we come from love. We're made of this stuff we call love. We actually are love, and everything else is false. Welcome, Jeannie Ryce.
Thank you, Dr. Tim. Was that Chapter 3 out of the Course in Miracles book?
Way of Mastery.
Way of Mastery. Okay, awesome. And congratulations. Today marks 2 years that you've been doing the second hour of the radio show.
For those who are into anniversaries. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So onward and upward. We'll be back again tomorrow.
Awesome. All right.
Have
See
a
you
great
then. And
show.
thank you for doing the worksheet. That was powerful.
All right. Take care.
You too. So thank you, everybody.